Hi everybody, it's Rachel here from Rachthestamper.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make this super simple birthday card. So this actually uses a greeting from Best Family Ever, and you could use anything. Happy birthday is always a great one to have. Congratulations is pretty cool as well. And then I use the Rays of Light. They call this a stamp set, but I think it's a background, so I don't know if that was just like oversight or anyway. So we're going to be using Blueberry Bushel, Coastal Cabana, and then I have white. I'm also using an embossing folder from the 3D Basics embossing folder grouping. I need to remember to make sure this is cleaned out, because the other week when we did this, I didn't realize that my ink was still wet, and it actually transferred it as a shadow image onto someone's card. So luckily they were able to stamp it and cover it up, but make sure, just in case when you're doing something, that you just give it like a little bit of a wipe down if you're ever not sure if it is or isn't clean. And a great thing to do that with is the Stampin' Chamois. I haven't used this for some time, and I actually just ordered 2 more because mine were pretty gnarly looking, but it's really nice because it does dry really quickly, but as you can see, it definitely doesn't stay the same color for very long. But if you store it in an old stamp case, it's actually easier if you're using stamps just to rub it to get it clean. So this is great, but I still am also a fan of the Stampin' Mist and using the Stampin' Scrub, just because I feel like sometimes it gets into the stamps a little bit better. But anyway, this is part of a 3-pack. There are 2 other ones that go along with this. This is one of the folders that's actually in the online exclusives. So if for some reason you can't find it, this is the item number 161598. It's 3 folders. They're all pretty cool. And then we're using, and this is a little difficult to see, so I haven't wrote the name. Obviously, really, unless you're in a super bright light, you cannot even possibly see this. So I wonder if they're going to start transferring to black, but I'm guessing that's kind of the way everything is. But Lemon Lolly, which is a new color, Blueberry Bushel is a returning favorite, and then Daffodil Delight. So to get started, we are going to use a Stamparatus for this, because it gives you better placement if you're using this and you're doing more than one stamp. So I have a piece that is 3 3/4 by 5. A layer of Coastal Cabana is 4 by 5 1/4, and then we have our regular base, 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. There's also inside panel that's 4 by 5 1/4, and then I just have 2 scraps in case I mess up. So put this on the side, and really this is the only one we're using. So I'm going to grab this and move this out of the way. And I did intend to record this earlier. However, after Stamp Club, I had a horrible, I don't know what actually happened, but it was some sort of a cough or something. And I developed laryngitis. Oh, whoopsie. So I couldn't speak. So certainly couldn't do a video, which made me sad, but what you gonna do? All right, so I'm just gonna grab a little scrap just to slide in here, because it is gonna go off the edge. And let's see, I'm gonna go like this. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change this. I'm gonna put this up here in, no, we'll go down here. Just like so. Yeah, I'm just gonna put this on top, because if we go over, it's okay. So if you don't have a Stamparatus, you could use another stamp positioning tool. If you don't have one, you don't really need one, but it just kind of gives you a better chance of inking it overall if you need to redo it. So I'm going to just, again, Lemon Lolly. Okay. And whoops. Oh, there you go. This one little spot. All right, that looks good. Again, it doesn't have to be 100% perfect, because we're going to do one other thing. So I'm just going to close this and grab just a different piece of scrap, because we're going to do just a little bit of blending. So now with our Daffodil Delight, just going to grab the small, ooh, that one got, make sure I don't get that into my thing. I'm actually not going to use that because I don't want to get another color on it. So I'm just going to use a larger one. The smaller one is great though, because it's actually a little bit easier to manage. And honestly, if this was the one they came out with first, I don't think I would have bought these. So if you haven't tried the blending brushes yet, try the small one. They are really handy. So just a little bit of ink, and you're just kind of filling in that bright spot. Go radiate a little bit out of the edge. Just do it once more. Okay, just like so. So nothing crazy. And before we do our embossing, which we're going to do with that 3D embossing folder, it's kind of like a, I want to say like a starburst almost. Sort of like a starburst, something like that. So I'm going to stamp my sentiment onto this scrap in case I need to redo it. Just grab one out of here. I think I'm going to stick with happy birthday because, like I said, you can always use happy birthday. And I'm going to just grab a block. Make sure that's inked nicely. Yeah. Now I do have a stack of paper under here, but otherwise you want to make sure you're stamping on something. So Stampin' Pierce mat. I don't even know if they call that anymore. Probably call it stamping pad. What else could you use? A stack of papers, catalog. I'm just going to try to line that up in the center. Looks good. Okay, and put that off to the side. And then, so I was going to show you with this. This you just wet with water. And it really does get into the nooks and crannies pretty well. So, all right. So this, what we're going to do is I'm actually going to leave this end. But what we're going to do is we're going to feed this in so we can flag this. And I'll show you what I mean. Just take a little bit of this off. So I'm going to use, and I cannot remember what this punch is called. Some sort of a tag, something or other. But what we're going to do is we're going to feed this in, but we're going to feed it in underneath. You have two different ones. This is more like a ticket, and this is just like a little bit of a bumpy banner. So I'm going to feed that in. I don't know if that's going to be short enough. Yeah, I'm going to trim this off just a little bit. And when you do it upside down, and we'll do it on this side just for a change, you can actually see where you're feeding it. That way you can cut it in case you were close to the edge. So we're kind of going for that, and then we'll trim the other end off. So that's just going to set for a minute. And we're going to really quickly, I'm going to take this and I'm going to just run this through my die cut machine. So one tip, if you want to emboss it, so it means the image is raised towards you, you want to make sure the Stampin' Up is facing up, because this way you'll get a debossed image. Still can do it, completely cool technique, but it's just going to be different. And we're going to just slide this in. I tend to try to kind of line it up right with that bottom line there, because it gives you a straight edge to work with. So I'm going to just run this through. If you happen to still have an old school Big Shot, this is a 3D folder. So what you need is the original platform and then the blue plate. I call it the blue plate special. If not, you might just have to finagle. You can do it one other way using the original ones that open all the way, but you'll kind of just have to fiddle with it. But if you get resistance, that's okay, but forcing it is not good. Okay, so just show you what. So this one is embossed. You can see it's raised. So really cool. So this is pretty simple. All we're going to do is assemble. Okay, so we're going to take our card base and we're going to fold it in half. Oops, I think I went the wrong direction. No worries. I'm going to just fold this in half, line it up, hit it with my bone folder. And then we're going to just layer all these together. Okay, so I'm going to use liquid glue. I prefer liquid glue. I do like Tombow, but I also like this Barely Art glue. I just prefer liquid because in case you goof something up, you have a little bit of wiggle room. And I seem to really run through tape runner super quickly, so that's probably why. Ooh, now, one other thing to know. When you're doing embossing on something that is 3D, you definitely want to make sure you get a good amount of glue on it because it is going to get in those little nooks and crannies. Not that you want it soaking wet, but good amount of glue. So our first one, and they're always all going to kind of be different. If you wanted to turn it around a little bit, you could. And one other thing to take note of, when you emboss something, sometimes it slightly changes the size dynamic of it, but don't let that bother you. It's okay. Again, these are handmade, so they're all going to be just a little bit different. Let's make sure I opened it correctly. And one other thing you could have done ahead of time is you could have glued this if you wanted to, or put it down with dimensionals and cut it to line up. It just depends on where you want to go. I'm just going to take this all the way to the edge since I've already put it down there. So you have that little bit of detail there. Nothing like super duper fancy. And let me see, where did I put my dimensionals? Good question. Good question. Have no idea at the moment. They're probably under a pile of something because I cleaned my desk, and I guess I cleaned it just a little too well because I don't know where it is. So I'm going to use just some strips, which is no biggie. Just going to pull this off. And we're kind of going towards the edge here. I'm going to see how much I want to go past the words. So probably right about, oh, right, that was good spacing. I'm just going to use my snips. Just eyeball another piece. Just put 2 on there. That's plenty. Okay, just give those a press. And we're going to just remove both of these. Kind of center it. You could have it high, low, middle. Really just depends on what you want to do. I just want to make sure that I get all of that on there. So just a little bit hanging off, but that's okay. And I'm going to just give that a little press. And then flip it. And I don't want to use those. Get a pair of my not so nice scissors. Snip it. Just a tad bit crooked. I'm going to go in with just a little bit. There we go. Just a hair. Little haircut so you can't see. There you go. And that's pretty much it. Pretty simple card. But I really think sometimes with using this larger background stamp, in the very beginning, I thought it was really, really pretty. But I'm going to be honest with you, I struggled on how to use it because the sunbeams, they're not very detailed. So if you look at this stamp, you can see there's a lot of not detail, but like missing parts in it. And for me, stamping, that sometimes can make things a little bit difficult because you don't have a fully inked image. So it almost makes it a challenge to use because normally we like something. So we like something to be solid. Like we like the letters to be solid filled. And if you're seeing something like this, sometimes it just confuses you a little bit and you're like, ugh. But look, the other thing you want to remember, look how many different directions you could use this in. So keep that in mind. You don't necessarily have to use it this way. I think this would be really cool also as a horizontal card. So I think using this as lighter helped it one way, but also I think embossing it because it took some of the focus off of the missing ink in the background, and I think also adding a little bit of sponging kind of really fills it in. So let me know, do you own this stamp set? Have you used it yet? If so, what other kinds of cards do you see making that with? So those are all cool ideas that sometimes if someone shares something, it gives me a little bit more inspiration of how to use something. So I want to thank you so very much for watching this. Sorry this is so delayed again. If I'd had a voice, I definitely would have done it sooner, but lots of cool stuff that you can find online. Again, we do have a whole section of online exclusives, and as a matter of fact, starting July 1st, they're going to update it with some new stuff, and I have to tell you, I saw some of it today, and there's a couple things that are really, really cute. The only thing about online exclusives are they are while supplies last. They are supposed to be kind of a running new selection of products that are kind of more on trend, and instead of having to wait for a catalog to come on, then they just put new things, take things off as they, you know, sell out or whatnot. But definitely worth checking out my online store. If you're new, you can follow me at Rachthestamper.com. If you have any questions, you can leave them here. Leave me a comment on YouTube. You can also send me an email at rachthestamper@gmail.com. But you can find all of these products in my online store, rachthestamper.stampinup.net. or if for some reason you can't find that, you just head to stampinup.com and you can search my name, Rachel Rife, R-I-F-E, and you'll be able to find me there. I am out of Maryland, so I try to post, and we'll be getting a little bit closer to school being out, so I might be able to do a little bit more regularly. But I try to post when we do all of our club videos. We do them in club first, and then I post them here afterwards. So I'll have a couple other new videos coming for you, so make sure you stay tuned for those. If you haven't already, I would love for you to follow and subscribe. Click the like button. If you have a friend that you think would enjoy this video, please be sure to share it with them. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.